Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this video we will be talking about the company specific interview questions. We have thousands of questions and we will be covering each one by one as per the company. So this interview questions, these questions were given by a candidate, and interview was on July 2024. So these are latest, and we'll try to see these questions, we'll try to see the answers and the motive behind asking that questions and how well you can answer such kind of interview questions. In this series I will be covering each and every question we have in the sheet, and all I need in return is your support. Share it with your friends and family who are preparing for the Salesforce developer interview, and yeah, all I need is your support. So let's get on to the questions. This is the sheet. Let me zoom it a little bit. Okay, so there are 21 questions, and as part of my interview preparation batch, all the candidates are required to note down the questions which they get in their interview, so that we can cover those and we help each other by sharing the questions. First question was why we need profiles and how permission sets are helpful. A typical interview, sometimes candidate get the first question from the admin topic. Basically interview try to set the tone on the lighter note, and they try to see if how good they are in the admin topic, try to make comfortable and then start with the dev topic. So this was also such kind of interview where it started with the admin topic after the introduction and went on to the better topic. So in the admin, the most important topic is the record sharing and security, and hence he got the question from record sharing and security. Why we need profile? We need profile to set the base level of permission, and how permission sets are helpful. If in case we need to extend such permissions, we use permission sets. Here, to answer it better, you can say how you use permissions and profiles in your project. How Salesforce recommend is that you should go with the base level profile and extend the permissions with the help of permission sets. So in future we are going to see a lot of permission sets, and that's how we should also go through and create in our projects as well. We should avoid creating so many profiles. Instead, go with some base level profiles and then keep on creating different permission sets for different purposes. Okay, so that's how we use profiles and permission set. The second question is, if user A and user B are in same role and assigned same profile, no extra permission given, user A is able to see user B record, but user B is not able to share the user A's record. What could be the reason behind it? Okay, again a typical record sharing related interview question. Interviewer has already told you that they have same role and same profile and there is no any extra permission. So this has nothing to do with the object level permissions. Profiles and permission set remain same. This is in the record level sharing related territory, and we'll go there. Now role is similar. Of course, OWD is not they have OWD, they are able to see the record. It's just that user A is able to see B's record, but B is not able to see A's record. So this could be because of a sharing rule, or could be a manual sharing, or could be any Apex based sharing, something like that. On that territory you will try to answer and try to ask cross questions on that. You will have to throw all the possible solutions, and then he will try to terminate one by one. Okay, you'll say manual sharing, he might say no, there is no manual sharing. You'll say sharing rule, he say no, there is no manual there is no sharing rule. Then you might say Apex sharing, he'll say okay, there is no Apex sharing. So that's how you're going to present all the possible solutions, and he is going to cut down until he get the desired answer he is looking for. But this is not related to object level permissions, so do not go on that territory. Okay, third question is, if user A tries to insert a record but on UI he is getting a DML limit exception, what could be the reason behind that? Okay, so basically when you are inserting a new record on the UI, let's say you're going to opportunity and trying to create a new opportunity, but when you save it you are getting the DML exception. Okay, and there could be multiple different types of error. Okay, but most possible way could be that when you're trying to create an opportunity, you are maybe somewhere behind the opportunity cycle. When you create it, there will be opportunity trigger. That opportunity trigger might be trying to call any other trigger or some other automations. Somewhere in the same transaction you are reaching the DML limit, and that is why you are getting it. So could be some transaction is invoking another transaction which has bulk DML, might be within loop, might not be within loop, or your overall transaction itself is consuming the DML limits you have per transaction. That is why you are getting the DML exception. Okay, so on the UI, yes, you're trying to create just one record, but in the backend, those automations might be trying to create multiple records in the backend, might be hitting the DML limits. Okay, so could be a reason. Okay, in these kind of typical setup, we get Apex CPU timeout as well, because transaction sometimes one transaction calls the other transaction, and we also get the CPU timeout. So other interviewer can also ask why you are getting CPU timeout. So same question can be applied to the CPU timeout as well. Okay, what are the latest releases? Okay, here it is expected for you to at least tell what are the major release features coming in the upcoming release. Like it is winter 25 is coming, you should know what are the top 10 features. If not top 10, at least 3, 4, 5 related to your area of expertise you should tell. And it is like this is a question where if you will not be able to answer, it will not give you a rejection because of it, but you will definitely lose a chance to impress the interviewer. Release notes are very important, so you should definitely at least know top 10 release notes, in my opinion. Okay, what is the use of with and without sharing keyword? What we do if we call a class A inside class B, where the sharing setting to be followed same as class B. Okay, so first you have to explain what is the with sharing and without sharing, and why we use with sharing and without sharing. And then comes the scenario if we have to call class A inside class B. So inside class B you will have to call class A, but class A should follow the sharing context of class B. Okay, so in that case, what will be your approach? So in that case, you should have inherited sharing on class A. If your class A has inherited sharing, then it will follow the sharing context of the class which is calling class A, in this case class B. So if you are calling class A inside class B, annotate your class A with inherited sharing, and in that case it will follow the class B sharing context. Basically, he did not ask inherited sharing in theory, but gave you a question to get to know if you know about inherited sharing or not. Okay, but try to explain all three. Then we've got a trigger scenario. Write a trigger on account to create the number of contacts based on field value from account record. This is again a typical trigger scenario where we create a number of contacts field. We call it roll up summary trigger, and you will get, this is so common trigger scenario that every second interviewer asks this roll up summary trigger. We have covered this trigger in our interview preparation series. This video is available on YouTube as well. I will try to put the link where we have created this trigger from scratch. First, we created it in the baddest possible approach without thinking about governance limit, without anything, and then we gradually improved that trigger and try to make it a better trigger with handler class and everything, and bulkifying it. So try to go through that if you haven't, and you will get so many solutions of this trigger available online, because this is very common trigger. I highly recommend you to try this. Next question. What are the best practices we follow in test classes? How to test private classes? Okay, so there are so many best practices in the test classes. First is we should try to cover all the cases in our test class. We should try to use the assert statement. We should try to do the negative testing as well. We should try to do the bulk testing as well, and we should use start.stop test as well. And yeah, there are many test class best practices available. I have notes on it. If you want, I can share it with you, or I'll put it in the Bitbucket and you can download it from there. How to test the private class? This is the actual real question he wanted to know. So private classes cannot be accessed outside, so either you make it is test visible, so that they'll be available, or you put your main classes structured in such a way that they are inside any public class, or they are inside any class which can be accessed outside, and then you call this private class. So basically you can do it by making it is test visible, and then in that case you will be able to test it directly. Okay, how to test a class which has an external callout. Okay, this is a very important interview question. If your test class, if your main class is doing a callout and you'll have to write a test class for that, what will you do? So we have an interface which will say Apex allow us to use that interface which mocks the HTTP callout. You will have to use that, and you will have to create the mock callout class, sample response, the response you're looking for, and then use that response in order to mimic the success behavior, and also try to test for the failed behavior as well. So it should have both kind of responses, success response and error response, and try to do a mock call out to it and then cover it in your test class. There are many good blogs available on this topic. I will try to attach one of it so that you can go through it and can learn it on your own if you haven't tried it yet. Okay, next question is, what are dynamic forms? What is the difference in dynamic forms and record types? Dynamic forms are latest features, you can say, on the admin side, where on the lightning page you can do the conditional visibility based on field values, based on picklist value type, based on a record type, based on the user profile role. There are so many things you can do on the dynamic forms, and it is very common to compare it with the record types, but because record types also gives us a feature to use different page layouts based on different record types. But are record types going to, or are dynamic form going to replace record types? No, that is not the case. The difference is record types are still used when we have record types still support the different sales cycle and support cycle. Record types still gives us different pick list value based on different record types. Record types are still available when we on a broader level want to have a different page layouts for different processes, or you can say different types of record you're trying to create. But if we combine the dynamic forms and record type, we will have a better control over our page, better control over what we want to display to the end user. So the thumb rule is, first use record type to bifurcate the broader categorization, and then within that broader categorization, if you have further subcategorization, use dynamic forms to further subcategorize your page or further control the field visibility of different fields. So that's how we should use dynamic forms. I do not see record types going anywhere in the near future, but yes, I do see a lot of collaboration between these two for the better page visibility needs. Okay, so up till now, if you see the patterns of these questions, it is a typical Service Cloud interview where interviewer tried to ask questions from as many topics as he can. He went from admin to the fundamentals of Apex, to the governor limits, to the trigger, to the test classes, to the again admin, and then there are a couple of questions on async. So this is how service-based organizations takes interview, because they have to cover so many areas of Salesforce, because they have projects from all different types of Salesforce domains. They try to cover as many topics as they can, and then they try to find out, okay, if candidate is good in which topic and where we can put him, if he's a resource for us or not. Okay, moving on to the next topic. How Async Apex is helpful. What are all different Async Apex jobs and its differences? Why Async Apex is helpful is because it gives us flexibility to put something which can be executed on its own thread, on its own time, whenever resources are available. So it basically takes the burden of something being executed right now, so that resources will be available on the immediate need if something is required immediately. If not, that operation will happen in the asynchronously. There are 4 different options available, and here there can be so many questions on can we call future from batch, can we call batch from future, can we call Qubel from batch. So we have covered all these questions. I'm going to put the link in the comment box. You can go through those videos in detail where we have done the live demo, but go through these things a lot because there are a lot of questions, and these are not a kind of questions which are optional. You should know the answer of them, otherwise you will get rejected. Okay, next question is also in the same front. What is the mixed DML exception? How can we handle this? Mixed DML exception happens when we try to perform this DML operation on the setup object and on non-setup object. On setup object, if we are doing some operations which could affect our operation on the non-setup object, then Apex execution engine can throw us the DML exceptions. So that's when we get the mixed DML error. How to avoid mixed DML error? We can use future method to avoid mixed DML error by moving one of the transaction to one of the DML operation to the async operation, so that we will break the transaction and we will not get the mixed DML error. Can we call future inside a future? What is the exception we get if we cannot call? We cannot call a future method from a future. We will get the async exception that future method calling is not allowed from another future method. The reason, there are multiple reasons behind it. First, future method itself is not sure when will get executed, so it will trying to add another future method will again add some uncertainty about when will it get executed, and chaining as well. If you want to do something like this, then we can use the Qubel Apex to do that, where chaining is allowed. Okay, a very common question comes here is that why it is allowed in Qubel Apex but not allowed in future method. So we'll have to understand that future method, when Salesforce launched future method, they did not allow it because they did not anticipate that it is going to happen. But later on, Qubel Apex, when Qubel Apex came, they did allow it. So there is no rocket science behind it that they both are asynchronous. Then why it is allowed? Because Qubel Apex came later and is an enhanced version, is a better version of future method. Salesforce tried to improve it. Salesforce tried to basically cover all the limitations they had with the future method in the Qubel Apex. But having said that, future method has its own use cases. It's not like Qubel Apex is better than future method. It's just that it has a different use case than the future method. All 4 asynchronous Apex, never compare it from the good or bad point of view. Compare it from the use case point of view, because that's how it is set up in the Salesforce. Okay, let's move on to the next question. What makes LWC special than Aura? LWC is faster than Aura. In one word, it is faster than Aura, but there are so many differences in terms of why LWC is better than Aura. This is a theoretical question. There are many blogs available on this to cover this. Why I find LWC better than Aura is because LWC is faster. It has less syntax, to be very frank, less files in their in the bundle, and I like it is more inclined towards JavaScript and how we use JavaScript in the other web technologies. So I find it really fast and good to use, easy to use than Aura. Lifecycle hooks and example. Lifecycle hooks and example is major LWC topic. We have covered this in our channel multiple times. There are videos on it. Yeah, I'll attach the link of it. You can watch it and try to give the examples in whenever you cover the lifecycle hook, because that's how you will impress the interviewer. Theory will not work here. Okay. Types of communication: parent to child communication, child to parent communication, and communication between unrelated components. So parent to child is very easy, child to parent is bit tricky, and communication between unrelated components uses the lightning message services. So that's where this interview is heading towards, a lot of LWC related questions at the end, because that was the major requirement of the interview. Then he asked syntax of parent to child and child to parent. I will put the link of that video in the comment where we have done the live demo of this, so you can see the syntax, you can write down the syntax. But there are so many good YouTube playlists available on YouTube from different creators on these topics. I highly recommend you to just search it and try to follow one, and you will get to know everything on this. Okay, why can't we make imperative calls inside the imperative apex call inside the constructor? See, constructor is the first thing which runs when we load the page. So imperative call is something like on demand thing, which is like calling apex when we want to. So that is why we should never use imperative calls inside the constructor, because your page has not been loaded yet, so you will make it unnecessarily complex to get things done when you want to do the imperative call. Okay, limitations of LMS is very good to communicate in the Lightning web components, but LMS also has limitations. It is only available for Lightning, it is not available for Classic, or it does not support Lightning out feature, and the support on very big payload is yet to be tested. Like it is very quick, but what I've seen is that if your payload is very high, then it does cause some performance related issues as well. So there are a lot of limitations in a real-time projects. It cannot go outside of Salesforce. So if you have to do send something to third-party system, that is also not possible. So it lies within Salesforce. So yeah, there are a couple of limitations you can point out, and maybe you can watch few on the Salesforce website as well. I'll try to give the link here. Next question, I have a LWC component which is supposed to get the list of contacts for a given account, but I couldn't see any response from LWC component. What could be the possible reason? Okay, so what is happening is you have, let's say, a Lightning input where you are just passing the list of account or passing the account ID, and in return you are displaying the list of contact. Now when you do that, you are not getting any response, like nothing is displaying on page. What could be the possible reason? First, you need to identify if it is a LWC related issue or an Apex related issue. So first you see, okay, you have provided some input, if that input is going to Apex or not. Let's say if you are passing a record ID, if that record ID is going to Apex or not. If it is going, then we will check, okay, if we are getting anything in return from our Apex or not. If Apex is returning something correctly, then we will see if our LWC JavaScript code is able to receive that thing or not. If LWC JavaScript is able to receive the payload or the list of contacts but not able to display, then we will see, okay, how we are rendering those list of contacts in HTML. If there is something wrong in it, then we will debug that. Always use rendering properly. You do use the conditional rendering, if else in the rendering, to see if we are rendering it properly or not. Okay, so the way to solve it, first identify if the issue is on the Apex side or on the LWC side, and based on that your next step will be to check the things further. Okay, next question is, on portal we have LWC component which implement Lightning record edit form. If user edits a lead status field, then in SF the value should be updated with the same value and vice versa. How can you achieve this? So record edit form we used to update the Salesforce record without using the Apex. That's how we are going to do that. We will edit the page, submit it, and then record will get updated in the Salesforce. As far as updating it and reflecting it back in the Salesforce, we can use refresh, or we can get the data from Salesforce and then display it. I have worked on one requirement where client was asking, do not click on submit. Let's say if I change the value in the field itself, I'll have to it should be saved in the backend, like even if user did not click on the submit form. So for that, what we did, instead of, we did use lightning record edit form, but on that form itself, for all such fields, we used the Lightning input field. Okay, specific input field, and on click of that input we were calling a handler, sending that data to Apex and then saving those records, and fetching it back and displaying it on the UI, because the requirement was that even if user did not submit it, it should be saved. So for that we did that, but that was very workaround kind of thing we did. It should, I mean, user should be submitting it, then only we should save the record. Okay, all right, let's move on to the last question. What are all steps we have to make an integration successful? And yeah, so what are the different steps to make integration successful, the external system? See, in order to make an integration successful, we should know both the systems. What are the requirements? What do we need to pass from one system to the other system? How these two systems are going to connect to each other, if there is any middleware in between. Okay, so first we should chart, okay, what do we want to send? When do we want to send? What do we want to receive? When do we want to receive? Is it automated? Is it on demand? Then we should talk about connection. How will we connect these two different tools? If we have any middlewares involved, then does that middleware has all the permissions to do that? And then we talk about the payloads and inner details. So on the nutshell, if I'm starting any integration project, I should know about the other system. Like if I'm integrating Salesforce with let's say Oracle, then I should know what Oracle supports, and whatever Oracle supports, will I be able to provide that information? If not directly, then if via middleware, who will be holding the which system will be the source of truth, and which system will be the initiator of the integration, how the errors will be handled, what happens if something fails in between. So there are a lot of considerations happen before starting integration. So the actual code writing happens months after we start an integration project, because a lot of things need to be figured out first before we do that integration. So these are the basic questions. I mean, I'm not saying that you should answer what I said. Answers depends and varies person to person, experience to experience, but be confident. If you know something, try to take the maximum gain from that topic, because that is very important. And many people ask why I do not share this sheet. See, the whole reason is I did share it, and then few people started selling the interview questions, and I am completely against selling these interview questions. These are not my questions, these are the hard work of my students, and this, I mean, no amount of money can tell like how hard they have done for this. So I just want to do these questions on these sessions like this. If you agree, disagree with any of my answers, that is completely okay. You can you can comment on my videos, and we can have a discussion if you want to know more. If you need my notes, if you need any other thing from me, I'll be more than happy to do that. Just that my intention is that nobody should misuse these things. This is not for sale. Thank you everyone.